Yeah.
So Matt, practice here at Penn State's got to bring up some memories. You were here during those linebacker U days.
Yeah.
What's it feel like?
During the Leatherhead days, Matt told me earlier, off the record.
Exactly. For the record, actually. What's it like? It's different. You know, a lot of changes. It's not the same thing. The game's changed a lot. Obviously, your coaching has changed. But
Talent has changed, right? They don't make them like they used to. You know,
thankfully.
Matt, I'm curious. When you come to practice, though, where do your eyes wander? Do you go straight over there to that linebacker core?
No, actually,
What do you watch first?
Well, the whole game is played up front, so I always look inside.
The trenches?
Yeah, I always go right to the offense, defensive line. Then I look in the secondary. Now, if I'm calling a game that way, that's what I do.
Right.
Right. Get the secondary and all that stuff. And then I was never a fan of looking at where the ball is, which is what television does all the time. It follows the football, which
not if you're Matt.
You have
you do it
to.
Differently.
Well, you can't. You don't know what's going on.
Right.
So you got to look away from that, and you expect that stuff's going to happen, and then you kind of document it later. So.
A lot more ingredients in that touchdown that aren't near the pigskin than that are.
Those are the real reasons why that stuff happens.
Matt, I want to get your opinion on where the program is right now, what Coach O'Brien is doing with these guys. Obviously, in the midst of everything that happened, you know, these past few years.
The state of the pro, I think it's in great hands. First of all, I think he's a star.
Yeah.
I think Bill is as good as it gets. I think he's a regular guy. He's an approachable guy. He's a very bright guy. He's exactly what this place needed. That's the first thing. Second of all, Bill's unique in that he's got a pretty good macro view of things. He's not your typical coach who kind of gets really myopic and can't really see the forest for the trees. Sometimes it's very common. So Bill's got kind of a CEO outlook on it, which is very needed here. You see, at the college level, you're the president, the CEO, the general manager, the head coach. You're everything, and he has that skill.
Yeah.
So that's a good deal. I think in terms of where the team is, you know, they took a lot of hits. People walked away that were allowed to walk away. He got rid of some guys. And then they had the scholarship reductions, and so he's working within the framework of that. But having said that, there's some pieces of the puzzle here that he can work with, least of which is that freshman right there, Hackenberg. That kid's got some stuff.
Christian.
And he's
cannon. The cannon is loaded on
Hackenberg, but he's a typical freshman in that he's learning. You put the tape on and you can see the thought process. You can see he's trying to stay away from turnovers. You can see that in this offense, which is completely quarterback-centric, the rest of the offense is kind of slowed down right now until he can catch up. And so that's what you got to wait on him.
Do you think that since Coach O'Brien coached a guy named Tom Brady?
What's his name?
Right.
Never.
Do you think that played a part in a guy like Christian that was highly recruited coming here as opposed to other places?
Well, if it wasn't, I don't know how it was overlooked.
Yeah.
Look, that guy has coached as good as there is at the highest level and gets it. If I were a high school kid coming out and I had the opportunity to be coached by that kind of coaching, I wouldn't even be close. I'd be here with bells on.
PSA, you guys. Nittany Line football right here.
I'm curious, when you look out there now, and I know you have a loose familiarity with some of the talent that's on the team, who's the Matt Millen of this squad right now?
Well, thankfully, they don't have any. Because if they did, they would be probably kicked off the team by this time.
Yeah, I mean, you got quite the rap sheet here at Penn State when you were around, right?
Yeah.
Give us some good stories from back then. I mean,
good ones? I mean, it depends on your perspective.
Bad ones, I'm sorry. Give us the bad ones.
Oh, heck. My favorite one was my freshman year. My freshman year, this didn't exist. And so we were on the grass fields, and it was the first team offense going against the second team defense. Which it was in training camp, so I was on the second team defense, and so Joe had this no fighting rule, which I broke continuously. And so what happened? I got into a fight with somebody, and I started duking him, and Joe lost his mind, and when Joe got mad, his voice got real high, and he would go, "Millen, get out of here!" And I turned to him and I said, "I'm not going anywhere." And he said, he got all frustrated. He goes, "Fine, stay there." So I stood there, and he moved the whole team to the other field. And I stood there like the cheese stands alone. I was like, what an idiot I am. I can't believe it.
You got owned by Joe Pa.
That's awesome.
Which was one of many times.
Yeah, I bet.
That's awesome.